Okay, so now let's segue straight into price predictions with Forrest. Forrest?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump right into our Chainlink price prediction. All right, so Chainlink has been a very popular token for quite a while now. It made its name going on a huge run in a bear market last year, back in the summer of 2020. Now, the whole point of these realistic scenario models is to ground ourselves and give ourselves a standing point to where we can get an understanding of what a realistic price scenario is for Chainlink. So when somebody says Chainlink's going to $5,000 in the next year or so, we can say, well, no, maybe not, because the math doesn't check out. And what would have to happen for that to go to $5,000, just it's not realistic or feasible. So let's just kind of ground ourselves first and take a look at where Chainlink's been trading at recently. So the time of earlier today, when I took this screenshot, Chainlink's trading at roughly $29. Now I've mentioned this before in videos and on the last live stream. Chainlink has a beautiful linear trend line on a logarithmic chart. And when you have a linear trend line on a logarithmic chart, that equates to exponential growth, right? And occasionally what Chainlink does is it comes up and it bubbles up and enters a period of overvaluation against this trend line, right? And it's done so roughly 3 or 4 times in the last year or two. The first bubble, before we really even had this trend line to go off of, the trend line hadn't even developed yet, gave us a 700% overvaluation against the trend line. The next one, 133%. The following one, back in 2020, 254% overvalued against this trend line. And most recently, we topped out at roughly 129% overvaluation against the trend line. Now we can just simply say if this trend continues, and we just put a kind of an arbitrary target of July because that could be the soonest point at which the total cryptocurrency market could top out at. Now, I think the bull market could go much longer than July. That's kind of the earliest point at which we would expect it to. And we gave ourselves a price target of $90. Let's just say Chainlink went to $90. What kind of overvaluation against this trend line would that be? And would that overvaluation against this trend line be realistic based on what we've seen historically? And the answer is yes. In July, if we saw a $90 Chainlink, we would only be 130% overvalued against the trend line that it's been on for well over a year, right? Now, we've also had these much bigger overvaluations. This one was 254%. So could Chainlink go even higher than this? Yeah, absolutely, in my opinion. And then we can also just take the timelines in between these peaks, right? This first one from peak to peak was 231 days. The next one was 180 days, 189 days. Well, if we used like the last week of July, we'd be getting 161 days. So maybe you could even argue August could be the next time that Chainlink makes a peak, because that would be roughly 180, 190 days out. And that's what the pattern that we've been seeing so far in this trend line. Now, we can also take a look at Chainlink's dominance over time. And Chainlink's dominance, if you're not familiar with what dominance means, it's just a way of measuring market share against the total cryptocurrency market capitalization, or total cryptocurrency market cap, which happens to be roughly $1.8 trillion today. Now, Chainlink has also been on a pretty solid linear trend line up until recently, where we had this massive bubble and maybe, you could argue somewhat of an overcorrection, right? When things get so overvalued, usually they slam down pretty hard. So we popped back above it, and now we're below the trend line right now. Well, what we can do is construct several different scenarios for, say, July or so. That would, let us construct a matrix based off of these 5 different scenarios for what Chainlink's dominance could go to. Now, I think Chainlink's dominance, if we keep seeing if we keep seeing smart contract networks and DeFi rule the roost for the cryptocurrency market as a whole, maybe Chainlink gets beaten down to 0.5%, right? That'd be a bearish scenario. Maybe we, go back up and maybe don't make it quite up to the trend line again, but we get to a 0.75% dominance for Chainlink. Maybe we go above the trend line and we have these other more bullish scenarios built in for that. Now, if we're going to cross-reference these scenarios to extrapolate a price, we also have to construct some scenarios for the total cryptocurrency market cap, right? Which also, the cryptocurrency market as a whole is also increasing on a linear trend line on a logarithmic scale. So the cryptocurrency market cap as a whole, the crypto space, is increasing exponentially. Now, we also see these bubbles up off of the trend line on occasion. Back in 2013, 2014, we saw 1,600% overvaluation against the trend line. In the last market cycle, 2017 and 2018, when Bitcoin ran up to $19,700 and Ethereum topped out at $1,400, we saw an overvaluation against this trend line of 2,600%. Now, we are currently on a 6-month trend right here, a secondary trend up, bubbling up off of this trend line that by July, if we maintain this trajectory, would put us at roughly a $5 trillion market cap for the total cryptocurrency space, right? Now, if we outpaced that, or it took even longer, the market cycle lasted past July and continued on this trend, maybe we get to $10 trillion this year, right? Now, if we start getting a little bit crazy and saying 50 trillion, within the next couple months to next year, this year, that's a little bit less realistic, right? A more bearish scenario would be $3 trillion. Well, if we just take our $10 trillion scenario and just do a gut check, right? Is this realistic? How far overvalued against the trend line would we be in July if we hit a $10 trillion market cap, total cryptocurrency market cap? 1,500%, which is in line with what we've seen before. Now, there is such thing as lengthening market cycle theory that, says that these gains are going to decrease over time. So, 1,500%, somewhat realistic. All right, so let's take our Chainlink scenarios, our Chainlink dominant scenarios, and cross-reference them with our total cryptocurrency market cap scenarios. And all we're doing here is we're taking our market dominance, we're multiplying by our cryptocurrency market cap scenario, and then we're dividing by the total number of Chainlink tokens in existence to extrapolate a price scenario. So and remember, Chainlink's trading right now at roughly $29. So our most bearish scenario for Chainlink is $36. And in order for Chainlink to be at $36, we'd be taking our most bearish scenario, our $3 trillion total cryptocurrency market cap scenario, with our most bearish Chainlink market dominant scenario. So in this scenario, cryptocurrency market cap continues to rise from $1.8 trillion where it's at today up to $3 trillion, but Chainlink gets crowded out by a lot of these DeFi plays and drops from the market dominance where it's at today down to 0.5%. Well, now let's take a look at what's the most bullish scenario for Chainlink. Well, if we take our $10 trillion market cap scenario and we cross-reference that with our 1.5% market dominance scenario for Chainlink, we could see a Chainlink of $364. Do I think that's likely? No, I don't think it's likely. Do I think it's possible or plausible? Yes. Based on the math, if these two things happen, that would essentially be the price of Chainlink. And I think both of these things have the possibility of happening simultaneously. Is it likely that the stars are going to align for Chainlink? Maybe not. But is it possible? Absolutely. Now let's actually go back to visualize what that would look like. The $10 trillion market cap up here, a 1,500% overvaluation against the trend line. And for dominance, we'd see Chainlink having to come all the way back up here for another rally to 1.5%. Well, Chainlink's been to 2% before, so why can't it go back to 1.5%? I think it could, but we know our trend line is down here, so maybe it goes to 1% in a more realistic scenario. So if you had to ask me, Forrest, what is your price prediction, your realistic price prediction for Chainlink this market cycle? Well, I like this $5 trillion total cryptocurrency market cap scenario, and I like 1% because that's pretty close to the trend line for Chainlink. That would be a cryptocurrency or a Chainlink price of $121. Now, some people like looking at charts as opposed to tables. This is just the exact same data in a chart format. Up here, up top, we've got our $10 trillion market cap, $10 trillion total cryptocurrency market cap scenario with our corresponding prices depending on our Chainlink dominance scenarios down here. In the middle, you've got the $5 trillion scenario, and in the bottom, in the red here, we've got our more bearish $3 trillion scenario. All right. So, in my opinion, $91 to $121 Chainlink is somewhat reasonable. And why do I say 91 to 121? Well, sometimes I like to kind of cross-reference, well, what happens if in our middle scenario, the scenario that I think is going to manifest, $121. What happens if the worst case scenario happens for Chainlink, but the best case scenario happens for our total cryptocurrency market cap? Well, actually, it works out to be $121 up here too. What about, cryptocurrency market cap doesn't do well, but Chainlink does do well, $109. So we're getting, multiple hits here in this matrix for 91, 109, 91, 121, 121. We're getting a lot of hits in this $91 to $121 range. So that's my prediction for Chainlink this market cycle. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Forrest. If you enjoyed those price predictions, be sure to smash the like button and share this video with your friends.
Token Metrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.